The Real Haunted House Story. A family's terrifying move into Bones' home. The move-in and the first signs. Jennifer screamed so loud that her voice cracked through the old walls. Luke rushed upstairs, his heart pounding like thunder. When he reached the hallway, he froze. The door to their son's room was wide open, and on the wall, drawn in the dust, were 5 long handprints. They weren't from a child. They were too big, too crooked, and too deep, as if burned into the wood. Their son, Tommy, stood in the corner trembling, pointing toward the crawlspace. "He's back," he whispered. "The man who laughs upstairs." The light above them flickered, humming like it was alive. Luke, trying to sound brave, opened the crawlspace door. A rush of cold air hit him, and for a moment, everything went silent. Then, from deep inside the darkness, came a soft chuckle, low, rasping, and human. Luke slammed the door shut. Jennifer grabbed Tommy, shaking, her hands cold as ice. "We're leaving tonight," she said. But before they could move, the sound came again, closer this time, followed by a whisper that carried both their names. Now, let's go back to how it all began. It was the summer of 2017 when Luke and Jennifer Miller bought their dream home in a small Midwestern town. The house had been standing for over 100 years, with white peeling paint, creaky wooden floors, and a large oak tree in the yard that cast long shadows at sunset. Locals called it the Bones House because of its age, but the real estate agent laughed that off. "It's got good bones," she said cheerfully, handing them the keys. They were so happy then, hopeful that this move would be their fresh start after years of struggle in Chicago. At first, everything seemed normal. They painted the walls, fixed the roof, and planned a nursery for their son. But small things began to feel off. The house made strange noises at night, soft tapping, distant footsteps, and the faint sound of someone sighing. Jennifer told Luke she heard whispering from inside the walls. Luke brushed it off, saying it was just the house settling. One evening, Jennifer was unpacking boxes in the hallway when she noticed something odd. The door to the basement, which had been locked since they moved in, was slightly open. She called for Luke, but when they checked, the door was stuck again, as if it had never moved. Later that night, as she was putting Tommy to bed, she heard him mumbling to himself. "Who are you talking to, sweetie?" she asked. Tommy smiled sleepily and said, "The man in the corner." Jennifer froze. There was no one there, just the faint outline of the shadow cast by the window. She brushed it off, convincing herself it was just his imagination. But when she turned off the light and left, she swore she heard a man's faint laugh drift down the hallway. The next morning, she mentioned it to their neighbor, Mrs. Green, an older woman who lived across the street. Mrs. Green frowned and said quietly, "You bought that house? I thought they stopped selling it after the last family left." When Jennifer asked what she meant, the woman just shook her head. "Families move in, and they never stay long. Some say it's the wind, others say it's something worse." That night, Jennifer couldn't sleep. She got up for water and walked past Tommy's room. The door was open just a crack, and through the gap, she saw him sitting up, staring at the wall. "Tommy?" she whispered. He turned his head slowly, his face pale. "Mom," he said softly. "He says he wants to play." Before Jennifer could answer, a thump echoed from the attic above them, heavy and deliberate. She froze, her heart racing as dust fell from the ceiling. Luke ran out from the bedroom holding a flashlight. "What was that?" he whispered. Neither of them knew, and just as Luke aimed the light toward the attic hatch, something on the floor caught their eyes. Small, muddy footprints leading from Tommy's bed, straight toward the attic door. The attic and the first encounter. Luke's hand trembled as he pointed the flashlight toward the attic door. The footprints were small, Tommy's size, but they were wet, as if he had been walking outside in the mud. Only he hadn't. The family had been indoors all night. Jennifer's breath hitched. She looked at Tommy, who was clutching his blanket, eyes wide with fear. "Mommy," he whispered. "He went upstairs." Luke swallowed hard. "Stay here," he said, his voice shaking. He grabbed the metal ladder and pulled it down. The old hinges groaned, and a cold draft swept over them. The smell that followed was strange, like old dirt mixed with something sour, something that didn't belong in a house. Jennifer wanted to stop him, but before she could, Luke climbed up into the darkness. The flashlight beam cut through the thick air, landing on old boxes and broken furniture. Nothing moved. Nothing looked out of place. He was about to call down to Jennifer when the light flickered. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw something crawl across the floor. Too fast to be human, too quiet to be an animal. "Jen," he whispered, "there's someone up here." Jennifer's heart pounded. She took a shaky step toward the ladder. "Luke, come down!" she cried. But before Luke could answer, the flashlight went out. Silence. Then came the sound of dragging, like something heavy being pulled across the wooden boards. Luke's voice broke through the darkness, low and panicked. "Jen, get Tommy and—" His words cut off into a sharp gasp, followed by a thud. Jennifer screamed. She ran to pull him down, but when she grabbed the ladder, something slammed the attic door shut from above. She yanked and pulled, but it wouldn't budge. Tommy started crying, screaming for his dad. And then, above them, came the sound of footsteps. Slow, deliberate, pacing back and forth. Moments later, the attic door suddenly creaked open on its own. Luke stumbled down, pale as a ghost, his shirt torn. "We're not staying here another night," he said, grabbing Jennifer's hand. His eyes were wide, unfocused. "There's someone up there, Jen, but it's not alive." They packed a few things and drove to Jennifer's mother's house that night. For a few days, things seemed normal again. Jennifer tried to convince Luke to sell the place. He agreed, but the house didn't sell. Every time a buyer came close, something went wrong. A burst pipe, a strange smell, even a sudden electrical fire in one of the bedrooms. It was as if the house didn't want to let go. After a week, they went back just to pick up the rest of their belongings. The moment Jennifer walked in, she felt it. A pressure in the air, like someone was standing too close behind her. The rooms were freezing cold, though it was the middle of summer. Luke went upstairs while Jennifer packed the kitchen. That's when she heard it again. A man's voice, soft, whispering. It came from the hallway. She turned slowly, her hands trembling, but no one was there. Then, as she stepped toward the doorway, something brushed past her shoulder. A cold touch, quick as a breath. The light above her flickered, and for a split second, she saw a reflection in the window. A face, smiling, watching her. She dropped the box she was holding, dishes shattering across the floor. Luke came running down the stairs. "What happened?" he shouted. But before she could answer, Tommy, who had been standing by the front door, pointed upstairs and said in a flat voice, "Daddy, he's laughing again." Luke turned toward the stairs, and from the darkness above, the laughter began, low, guttural, and impossible to tell if it came from a man or something else. The basement and the warning. The laughter rolled down the staircase like thunder, deep, mocking, and too close. Luke froze at the bottom step, gripping the banister so tightly his knuckles turned white. Jennifer pulled Tommy behind her, her voice barely a whisper. "Luke, please, let's go." But Luke couldn't move. Something in that laugh rooted him to the floor. It wasn't just sound. It felt alive. Then the front door slammed shut on its own. Every window in the house shuddered as if hit by a gust of wind, though the air was still. The lights flickered once, twice, then went out completely. The house fell into darkness. Only the faint creak of the old floorboards echoed through the halls. Jennifer fumbled for her phone flashlight and pointed it toward the stairs. At the top stood a shadow. It was tall, too tall for a man, its head bent slightly as if watching them. Its shape shifted in the light, edges rippling like smoke. "Who's there?" Luke called, his voice cracking. The shadow didn't answer. It only leaned forward and began to descend one step at a time. Jennifer screamed. Luke grabbed Tommy, yanking him toward the back door, but it wouldn't open. The handle burned his hand, searing hot like metal left in the sun. From the hallway, the laughter grew louder. Not one voice now, but two, maybe three, overlapping, echoing off the walls. In desperation, Luke ran to the basement door, the one that had been stuck since they moved in. To his surprise, it swung open easily this time. The air from below was freezing and thick with the smell of wet earth. "Come on!" he shouted. Jennifer hesitated for a split second before following. The door slammed shut behind them as they descended into the dark. The basement was even older than the rest of the house. Dirt floors, stone walls, and wooden beams blackened with age. The light from Jennifer's phone barely reached. The truth and the haunting. For a long, terrible moment, no one moved. The figure at the top of the stairs stood perfectly still, head tilted slightly, as if studying them. The air in the room felt heavy and sharp, every breath scraping against their throats. Jennifer's legs trembled so badly she could barely stand. "Luke," she whispered, "don't move. Don't make a sound." Tommy clutched her tightly, his face buried in her side. The figure shifted, one step forward. The wood creaked beneath its weight. Another step, slower this time, deliberate. Luke held out his arm in front of Jennifer and Tommy. His voice shook. "What do you want from us?" The house groaned as if answering. The lights flickered, the bulbs buzzing violently. Then, from all around them, whispers filled the air, dozens of voices, overlapping, soft but clear. "He's still here. He never left. You shouldn't have come." Jennifer covered her ears, screaming. The front door suddenly blew open with a crash, wind howling through the house like a living thing. Luke grabbed Tommy and dragged Jennifer toward it. The cold air outside felt like salvation. But as they reached the doorway, Tommy froze. His little hand pointed back into the hall. "He's not done," he said quietly. Luke turned just in time to see the figure step into the light. A tall man in torn overalls, his skin gray and stretched tight across his face. His mouth curled into a smile that didn't look human. And then, in a voice that was both deep and distant, he spoke. "You're in my house!" Jennifer screamed, slamming the door. They ran to the car, hands shaking, breath coming in gasps. Luke started the engine, tires screeching as they sped down the dirt road. In the rearview mirror, the house stood still under the moonlight, dark and silent again. But as they turned the corner, one upstairs window flickered with light. And for just a moment, Tommy slowly turned his head toward her, his expression blank. "The man from the house, he says, he wants us to come home." Jennifer's scream tore through the night, echoing down the hall. The next morning, their mother's house felt colder than usual. The smell of damp earth lingered in the air, and outside, in the dirt by the porch, were fresh footprints leading back toward the road, small ones and larger ones beside them. The Bones house still stands today, empty, waiting. And if you drive past it at night, locals say you can still see the lights flicker in the upstairs window and hear faint laughter carried on the wind. Some houses hold more than memories. They keep what refuses to leave. The Bones home still stands today, windows dark, its halls silent. But locals swear the laughter sometimes returns on stormy nights. Maybe it's just the wind. Or maybe some stories never truly end. Luke and Jennifer's story reminds us that the past doesn't always stay buried. Sometimes it waits for someone new to open the door. If you enjoyed the real haunted house story, A family's terrifying move into Bones' home, and you want to hear more chilling true tales like this one. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for the next haunting story that might just keep you up tonight.